In this video, we're going to be going over the functionality inside of Microsoft Teams meetings, and we're going to really focus on hosting effective virtual meetings and maintaining employee engagement. So over the last year alone, we have become experts in hosting effective virtual meetings, trainings, or producing impactful events such as town halls, webinars, large media broadcasts, and conferences. The question that we receive most of the time is, how do you keep your audience or your employees engaged during a virtual event? There are a lot of creative ways to ensure that engagement during a meeting or training, a class or virtual event of whatever type that you're conducting. There's a lot of ways that you can accommodate this. And what we're going to talk through some of the ways today. So one thing I will say is we just recently announced a lot of enhancements and features that are going to be rolling out to Microsoft Teams over the next few months to continuously evolve and improve. So what I'm about to show you will likely change. So just be mindful of that, and just know we're going to have a lot of enhancements, and some of those are we're going to be allowing the meeting organizer to create a webinar style event where you can track registration. We'll be increasing the views that you have in Teams meetings and more. So a lot of really great things coming, to be on the lookout for that. So, we have conducted a study, and I think it's around like 25, 30 minutes into a video virtual meeting. Users' brain waves and activities tend to decrease, and we start getting meeting fatigue. So there's a lot of ways to keep your employees engaged in a virtual event or virtual meeting. So let's talk through some of those. One thing you can do, so I'm in a Teams meeting right now. There's myself and a couple other folks. A few things you have to keep people engaged is now we have emoji responses for those nonverbal cues. So say somebody's talking through something in a meeting and you really love what they're saying. You can do that, and you can mash the heart, and then what it'll do is it will show over that user's camera. So if you watch here, if I do the heart emoji, it goes over my camera because I'm the one here that was reacting to what the speaker said. You can laugh, you can clap, you can give a thumbs up, and of course you can raise your hand also. So these are a few things that you can make sure you point out to your users to make sure they know that it's available to them. Another thing you can do as part of meeting extensibility is you can live poll people. So if you come into the chat here, down at the bottom, if your IT team has enabled, say, Poly, for example, that is a third-party polling application. So if your IT team has enabled that, down at the three dots, we call it the ellipses, click on messaging extensions, and any third-party applications that your IT team has enabled, you can access here. So if I wanted to do a quick poll using Poly, I could do that. I could create a quick poll right here. You can allow multiple votes if you want to. You can allow the audience to add choices or not. You can do anonymous or non-anonymous responses, and then you can preview it, and then you send it. I mean, that is how simple, if you were using something such as Poly, where you could come in and you could poll your users here. So see, what it does is it shows up in the chat, shows up here. So I'm going to say pizza. But your users can come in here and they can answer the poll. Now, for those of you where your IT team has not enabled, say, Poly, for example, a lot of you are waiting on the Forms integration. So Microsoft Forms is a polling, surveying, data gathering option that is included in Office 365. The Forms integration to Teams is coming very soon. That was part of the announcements from Ignite for the government cloud. So you will have the ability in here in the meeting extensions over the next month or so, where you'll be able to use Forms in the event that you do not have, say, Poly, for example. But maybe you need to survey your users right away and you don't have Poly, Forms isn't integrated. What do you do? So what you can do is you can come here, go to Edge. When you open up Office, if you have Forms turned on for you, you can create the form ahead of time. So these are some forms that I've created. Maybe this is the training survey that I want to poll my users. If you have the survey or the poll already created, when you click share here, there's a copy button. You can copy the form URL. Sorry. And you can paste it into here for your users. And so what that will allow is you can live poll. And so if you use polls or quick questions, every 15, 20 minutes in a meeting, you will see that you'll change, it's not just you're pushing content out to people or talking on video. By polling, it gives them something else where they can navigate to kind of keep their mind busy. But it's very simple. When you click that link, it opens up like this. You can answer, and then there's your poll. So it's very simple to just paste the link from a form that you've already created in the chat and allow for the users to just click on the link. And of course, if you wanted to open it in a Word document and edit the link name so it's not this long, if you want some sort of link shortener, or if you want to edit it in Word and paste it in there, you can absolutely do that to clean it up and make it look a bit more professional if you want to. And then, of course, we're already in here, but this is meeting chat. So in the chat portion, you can continue to encourage your users to send chat messages when they have questions or have an open dialogue going while the presenter is talking through the content. And then you can see, Deborah's already sent a chat, and we can say, sure. And, you can continue to respond. You can react with emojis in the chat as well. So this is a really nice way to keep employees engaged through the chat function also. A few other things that we have in meetings. We do have the spotlight feature. So what you can see, I'm in this meeting. If we had video turned on, I could pin Deborah's video. And if I pin Deborah, you'll see what it does is it changes it for me. So where I'm pinning it, it's only showing for me. It doesn't show for everybody else in the meeting. This is really helpful when maybe you have an interpreter on a meeting that is signing and you need to really focus in on them so that you can retain and gather everything that's being reviewed. You as the user can come into the three dots there and pin a particular user. Now, what a meeting organizer can do, or a meeting presenter, is if you have a particular user that you want to spotlight, it's going to spotlight for everyone. So basically what we just did with the pinning function, and we were just pinning it from my particular view, if I spotlight it, it's going to spotlight it for everyone. So what that does is it zones in on my video for the entire audience and not just a particular user. So Spotlight's really helpful in the same use case of if you have an interpreter or a signer in a meeting, if you want to focus on one person while they're also sharing content. Or also, you know, what a fun thing we did in my team recently, we hosted a virtual baby shower for one of our colleagues. We spotlighted her, and then we turned on the large gallery view for everybody else. And so what happened was it gave her video here in one focus area, and then it had the large gallery view over here on the right for all of us, so we could really zone in on her, but then we could see ourselves as well. So a lot of really great ways to make sure we can focus in on people when we need to. So keep in mind, to spotlight someone, you do have to be a meeting organizer or presenter, and you just click on the participant panel here, find the appropriate user, click on the three dots, and spotlight them. Of course, user pinning is a preference per user, so they come in here to the three dots next to the person that they want to pin, and they pin them there. Now, the next parts we're going to talk about are breakout rooms, and then we're going to talk about active cameras, because an active camera certainly does help with employee engagement as well. So if we minimize this, I'm going to show you my presentation. Breakout rooms are a bit, it's kind of hard to show them in a live session. So unfortunately, I do have to have some click-throughs here for that. But I do want to talk about the video options in Teams for government. So the first one you see is, this is together mode. So in order to light this up in the three dot ellipses, you do have to be in the Teams desktop client. We are shipping this to the web. It's just not available yet. But when you click on the three dots up here in the navigation rail where you see my blue mouse going, together mode does require at least 4 active cameras before it will allow you to turn it on. But what it is it's AI technology that segments users' videos to bring them together, as you can see here, in one view, where it, and we do have different views that you can switch from, but it makes you feel together. It makes you feel like you're in the same room, and it does help to reduce some of that meeting video fatigue, where it's not your traditional Hollywood squares, as I call it. So together mode is definitely an option for you. The next one you see here is dynamic view. So we've heard from customers. We hear you loud and clear. you wanted what you could get with other technologies. So we have now shipped what we call large gallery view, where you can get up to 49 active cameras on the screen at once. This too is in the 3-dot ellipses at the top navigation rail. You have to turn that on in order to activate the large gallery view. You need 10 active cameras going at once before it will light up. And it's important to know that this is a per user setting, because some people could get very distracted and do not want that large gallery view. So in that event, this is a per user setting that you can enable if you so choose. And then let's talk about breakout rooms. So breakout rooms are where you can essentially take everyone that's in a main meeting and you can break them off into smaller subgroups or sub-meetings. And the benefit to this is if you're in a large scale training and you need to break off to a topic area, or if you're doing a virtual hearing and you need to break off for attorney-client sessions where they can have confidential conversations with no one else in those meetings, or if you're doing virtual interviews and you need to break off into groups. And even fun things we have done were virtual happy hours or virtual get to know your peers. And we would break off into small subgroups to allow for each other to meet and greet. Now, breakout rooms, a few things. You do have to be the meeting organizer in order for breakout rooms to show up. And you have to be using the Teams desktop client. So as you can see here, if you are the meeting organizer, up at the top where my blue mouse is, you'll have the little square with the circle. That's how you would start creating the breakout room. Version 1, which is the version we're in right now, you have to be the meeting organizer and you have to create the breakout rooms once your meeting starts. We are working on the technology in a version 2 where you can have multiple organizers or breakout room host, as well as creating it once you've scheduled the meeting and not when it starts. And then you choose if you want it to be automatically assigning users or manually assigning users. If you manually assign users, you can put people into the particular room that you want. Of course, if it's an automatic, Teams is going to take the number of rooms you create and divide it by the number of people in the meeting and evenly diverse, and move people and divide them into the rooms evenly. You can have up to 50 rooms. And this is the drop down here where you pick how many rooms you want. When you click create rooms, then you can see the 3-dot ellipses here is where you can adjust your room settings. This is really important. And here's a screenshot of the room settings, but participants can return to the main meeting. So let's think of a virtual hearing, for example. You probably may not want people to go back into the main meeting without you doing and initiating that, because you may not want 2 people to be in the main meeting together, say without the rest of the participants. So you can toggle this button off so people will not be able to rejoin the main meeting without you closing the rooms and putting them back automatically. You get your room settings set, and then the next part is managing your breakout rooms. So here's where you can assign participants. Once you check the box, it lights up. You can choose which room you want to assign them to. Hit assign, and then when you're ready, start the rooms. What's really nice is for the breakout rooms to be created and managed, you do have to be in the Teams desktop client, and you do have to be the meeting organizer like we've talked about before. But meeting participants can be internal or external, and they can be using the web browser. They do not have to use the Teams desktop client. So start the rooms when you're ready. And what it's going to do is it's automatically going to move people into the rooms you've assigned them to. And then you as the host, you have the ability to make announcements and send them out to the rooms. So you could tell, say you have 5 rooms created, you could send them all an announcement and say, you've got 5 minutes remaining, need you to wrap up. You can also move between rooms. So when you click on the join room here, you can pick which room that it is you want to join. And of course, you can close the rooms as well. When you close them, it gives them a banner, tells them the room's closing. They've got about 10 seconds and they'll be automatically moved back into the main meeting. And that really concludes breakout rooms. They are really effective for large-scale trainings when you need to put people into subgroups or sub-meetings so that you can focus in on certain topic areas. I do hope you found this beneficial, and have a wonderful day.